Karen Olson, founder of Family Promise.
What inspired you to create Family Promise?
Well, that's a long story, but I'll give you the shortened version. I had a challenging childhood. I experienced a great sudden loss of my mother when I was just 12. And that caused a hole in my heart. And I hurt. And I knew what hurt was, and I didn't want anyone else to hurt. So I gave a sandwich to a homeless woman outside of Grand Central Station. I'd never really even talked to anyone who was homeless, but she sat on a crate. She always looked down like there was no hope in her life. She was elderly, perhaps in her late 70s, and on impulse, I just ran across the street and got her a ham and cheese sandwich and an orange juice. And when I came back, she said, "Thank you. God bless you. I haven't had anything to eat since yesterday." I gave her the sandwich, and she took my hand. She reached her hand upwards, and I took her hand in mine. And that was quite a jump for me because I had never even spoken to anyone who was homeless before. And from there, I began to volunteer in my suburban New Jersey community and met families who were homeless. And so that was my focus. And today that organization has served more than 1 million men, women, and children. And it's just heartening to make such a difference and to provide the opportunity for so many volunteers to reach out and care.
Yeah, with all those volunteers, how do you feel that other people believe in you and your mission?
It felt good. I was conveying the mission of helping homeless families, primarily children. And I've always felt that people really are compassionate and want to make a difference. They just need a way. And so I provided a way for them to get involved in their own community, in their own church, synagogue, or mosque. And it made all the difference because it made it easy for them to get involved. And no longer was homelessness the face of, say, a 75-year-old man lying on a subway grate in New York City, but a mom and a dad and who had 2 children. So it changed the face of homelessness because you don't see homeless families. They tend to be invisible. When do you see homeless families on the street? You don't. You're usually doubled or tripled up with friends or family members or living in their car. And so I brought light to who they were as people. And that made all the difference. People wanted to help and make a difference in the lives of others. I mean, there's 2 things. One, there's a great need for services for homeless families. They represent about 35% of all those who are homeless. And there's also, I would say, a need in each one of us. We say, gee, I have this yearning for something. I don't know what it is. I need something more in my life. Because people are compassionate and they're looking for some way to connect and make a difference. And so that's why we've grown based on the 2 needs. One, the needs on the part of homeless families and the needs on the part of each one of us who longs for something more. That's the title of my book, Meant for More.
Yeah, can you tell me about the process of your book?
Yeah. Well, after I retired in 2016, I decided to write a book because I heard so many amazing stories from guests. We call homeless families guests and volunteers that I wanted to share those stories with others. And then also, I thought it was time to share a little bit more about my personal story. People thought, well, she was just a marketing, not just, but a marketing executive. She gave a sandwich to a woman named Millie outside the Grand Central Station. But it's more to it than that, you know. I experienced deep pain and the tragic loss of my mother when I was just 12, left a hole in my heart. And that inspired me um, to reach out to others who were hurting. And what I find is that, you know, what is happiness? You're not going to truly feel happy by fulfilling, you know, needs such as designer handbags and jewelry or lavish vacations. And, you know, it can be on a whole track of seeking more and more and more. But for me, and I think for many people, that's kind of the wrong direction. It's never satisfying. By the time you take that luxury vacation, you want another one or something more. But if you go beyond yourself and reach out to people and make a difference, that's sort of a satisfying um, um, way of being, because when you're reaching out to others, you find that happiness can just catch up with you. And so that's what the book is about. Men for More, following your heart and finding your purpose.
And I live with mental illness, so I talk a lot about that. And
Well,
I know, everyone's going through something, and homeless
yes.
people are going through something as well. How important is it for homeless people to have a support system?
Well, it's everything. That's one of the things that Family Promise has done, provided a support system for families. When you know that someone cares about you, you feel renewed, you know. That's what, you know, is so important in people's lives, to have someone who cares about them, and also um, or people can care about others. You need that support. When did you start your podcast?
Uh, Almost 2 years ago.
Oh, good for you. Was
Yeah.
that a daunting prospect, or what? I know I'm not supposed to be interviewing you, but
No,
I'm curious.
please.
What encouraged you to start a podcast?
Well, I come from broadcasting local TV here in Washington D.C. area, and I know news. They focused a lot on negative things and not on people. So I really wanted
Yeah,
to focus more on people and their emotions and stuff like that. So I had the skills, so I decided to create
good,
something, and people are trusting me with their story. So I'm very thankful.
great. Well, you're providing a lifeline to people who, you know, want to know more, and yeah, that's terrific.
Well, I know for me also, I live with bipolar disorder too, and hearing lived experiences or people just for the cause, helps me. It's therapy for me too.
Yeah, I see. So bipolar, how often does that affect you? It's always there, or can you?
Yeah, I have treatment therapist, psychiatrist, so it helps, but some days are better than others.
Uh-huh. Does that run in your family?
Uh, my two of my sisters have bipolar as well, so yeah.
Uh-huh. So in many ways, I think mental illness is a physical illness, just like, I mean, if your heart, you know, is an organ, your brain is an organ. And if the chemicals in your brain are not working properly, you could feel depressed or elated, right? It's an organ. So it's not so much, um, something you bring upon yourself. It's something that, has a physical root, I believe. Would you say that's accurate or not?
I definitely would say that's accurate
Yeah.
because it's hard, just look it. I've heard someone call it like the invisible disease and stuff like that, and it's
Yeah. Yeah.
completely true.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. I mean, I think things are changing, but they used to think, well, try harder, or you need to do this, you need to do that. But you wouldn't say, like, if somebody had problem with their thyroid, you wouldn't say, you know, try harder, fix it, you know.
Yeah.
So the brain is an organ like other organs in your body, and sometimes the right chemicals, biochemicals can help provide equilibrium. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
So you said you retired in 2016. What has it been like the last several years to see the organization grow?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been wonderful to, see it grow and to continue to serve so many people. When I was working, I was always going so fast that I never had time to sit back and reflect on how lives were being changed. And now that I'm retired, uh, I can I can do that. People would always say, "Aren't you amazed at what you've created?" And I could never get my mind and heart around it. And now I can a little bit because I've slowed down more. And, I think of the different families that we helped or what it's meant to volunteers. And I still can't take it all in, but I, I feel really good about it. And I think God has used different things that happened in my life for good, like losing my mother when I was 12 was horrible. But, the pain that it created caused me to want to help people who were also hurting. So sometimes events in our lives can have a silver lining, and that has been true for me. And I don't know. And then, when I retired in 2016, a couple of years later, I had a small condo in Miami Beach, and I was looking forward to spending more time in Miami Beach and first time with my grandchildren, my sons, and daughter-in-laws. Um, but I had an accident in Miami Beach. I was about to, I had an appointment for cryotherapy. I don't know. Do you know what cryotherapy is?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's cold therapy, and it's supposed to have mental and physical benefits. And I had done it about 30 times, both in Miami and in Summit, New Jersey, where I live. And this day I went to the front desk for my appointment, which was at 2:00. And they said, well, we have you with a therapist who's new, but she's been with us for 4 weeks, but she's well trained. And so I didn't have a problem with that because I only had positive experiences with cryotherapy. And I got in the chamber, and because it's a tall chamber and you stand in the chamber, and then these fumes, cold fumes, um, are spread all around in the chamber. And evidently I kept saying, I'm cold, I'm cold, I'm cold. And so she went around to the door of the chamber and opened it from the back. So that meant when I stood there, um, there was no one to help me get out of the chamber. And I was frozen, like a popsicle. And so I fell out and I hit my head on a raised ledge. And I couldn't feel anything from my neck down. It was very scary. And so I asked for a phone, and I called my two sons, Brad and Doug, and they came down right away to help me. But that was the turning point where all of a sudden it put me in a different chapter of my life, because I've always been active and physically fit. But now here I was with no feeling from my neck down. But it's improved gradually over time. That was 6 years ago. And now I can move every part of my body except my right arm. And I've even learned to walk with a walker with the help of um, some physical therapists who help me take steps. So that's very encouraging. But, my happiness is not dependent upon my walking. I'm still Karen. I'm different. I'm not running around, but I am active in speaking engagements and it also gave me time to write my book, Meant for More, with my assistant, Jen Rustum. And that's been a wonderful, wonderful project. And so it's like a second chapter in my life. My first chapter was Family Promise, and my second chapter is Meant for More. So that's been very, very rewarding for me and others.
Yeah, how has your family helped your own healing process?
I'm very close to my two sons and their wives, and of course my grandchildren. They're just always there for me. We have a very close relationship. I don't see them that much, but the love is there. That's undeniable, and that lifts me up. But so do other people in my life. Like I have four aides that are here with me at different times because I need round the clock care, and they're really like family. It's a joy to be with them, and then to work with my assistant Jen. Um, so I feel, very, very supportive, and life is good. I may not be able to walk like I once did, although I have the hopes that I will be able to. But my happiness is not dependent upon my walking. My happiness is being open and fully available to my feelings and helping people. So I'm quite happy, actually. Yeah, I'm quite happy. I've even learned to paint. I was an artist before. I would paint with my right hand because I'm right-handed, but now I can only use my left hand. And so, but I found a way to paint with my left hand, and I enjoy doing that. It's, oh, in fact, you see the painting behind my head, the field of
Yes.
flowers. Yeah, that's something I painted many years ago
Oh,
when,
wow.
when my sons
Very
were
nice.
just, thank you, 2 and 4. At their bedtime, I would get out my canvas and paint. And actually, it's really interesting because at that time I was painting something that I wasn't feeling then. I was a little depressed, postpartum depression, I guess. But that that you would never know that from that painting because it's very bright and filled with light. And there's like a pathway. You can't see it because my head is in the way, but there's a little path that winds its way up and into the sky, which was a very optimistic kind of painting, even though I was in pain. I saw something really bright for my future, you know. When I say in pain, I meant depressed.
Yeah, how does painting help your mental health?
Well, I think it's really an expression of my spirit right to the canvas. So it's very healing, and I love the colors. It's just something I really enjoy doing, and I found that I had a talent for it when I was in the seventh grade. I used to use part time in class as a time to fool around, but I saw this picture of Venice, and my grandmother, my mother, that's my mother's mother, loved to go to Venice. And so I really applied myself and painted a beautiful picture, which I had no idea before then that I had any ability at all. But I did. So I found that gift, and that's something hopefully I'll always have.
And with your book, what was it like getting all your thoughts, feelings, ideas out on the page?
It was difficult. Sometimes it would go better than others. I started it about 10 years ago, and then I stopped. And then I picked it up again after I had my accident. So, you know, it just, it flowed. And, I had help doing it with my assistant, Jen. So I was able to get my thoughts down on paper, and people who've read it really, really like it. And I've gotten many good reviews. So again, that's the second chapter of my life, is helping people through this book. I mean, if you said to me, well, we have a great job for you, Karen, on Madison Avenue, and you're going to make, $18 million a week or something like that, or a month. That wouldn't do it. It wouldn't be satisfying. But the book is a way that I can share with people.
And I saw when I was doing research, I saw you've done press for TV and all that. What is
Yeah.
it like talking to people out about the book since it was, just your thing for so many years?
Yeah. It's gratifying because I think it's well received by people. They tell me how inspired they felt after they read the book. And so it's a gift I feel I could give to people. I don't consider myself a good writer. I'm pretty good at talking in public because I speak right from the heart. But I've been able to get my um, words down on paper with the help of Jen.
I know for my storytelling, I think empathy and trust are some of the most important tools to talk to people. Do you think empathy is an important tool when helping others?
Oh, yes, I think it's a prerequisite. Um, you know, I think if you hurt yourself and you know what that feels like, then the automatic response is, reaching out to others. It doesn't have to be that way. I guess some people who suffer then, you know, turn inward and don't reach out to others. But to me, that's an essential part to have that empathy.
So, how can people reach out and learn more?
And more, well, the name of my book is again, Meant for More, Following Your Heart and Finding Your Purpose. And they can get the book at Barnes and Noble, Amazon, bookshop.com, or they can go to my website at Karen Olson. That's Karen Olson, Olson, author.com.